Today we're making Szechuan pork. You'll need about 2 pounds of pork. We'll be trimming the fat off and slicing them into thin pieces. But first you have to marinate the pork, or marinate the pork. And for the marinade, you'll need a half a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 tablespoons of sherry. I'm going to use sake instead. We'll need 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch and 1 tablespoon of oil. So let's get started with the marinade. Okay, to marinate the pork, you'll need a container with a tight-fitting lid. And I'm going to do the dry ingredients first. So let's see, we'll do a half a teaspoon of salt. One and a half tablespoons of cornstarch. And I forgot to put my apron on, so hopefully I won't get this all over myself. Okay, now for the wet ingredients. 1.5 tablespoons of sherry, which I'm going to use sake. One. And a half. Now it's best to use your hands to make sure that you coat all the meat, because with a spoon or a spatula you just can't really feel whether or not you're coating every piece. So it's always best to use your hands for this type of mixing when you're doing a marinade, especially because the cornstarch sticks really bad, and this way you can rub it and make sure it gets on everything. Separate the meat pieces. And the pieces are cut about that size. Some of them are a little bit bigger, but I try to keep it consistent as I could, so that they'll hopefully cook evenly. It's not perfect, but it'll do. See, like this piece is a lot longer, but I think it'll be alright. Okay, now you want to let this sit in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. Well, it says let it marinate for 30 minutes. I'm going to put mine back in the refrigerator, I think. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and prepare the sauce for the Szechuan pork. You'll need 1/2 cup of chicken broth, 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of sugar, white sugar is fine, a half of a teaspoon of ground ginger, and 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. And you can go heavier if you like it spicier, which is usually what we do. And then you'll need something to mix it in. I like to use a measuring cup, so it's easy to pour. So let's get started with the sauce. Okay. 1/2 cup of chicken broth. That's 1/2 cup. 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. 1 teaspoon of sugar. One teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. And a half teaspoon of ground ginger. Now, ground ginger is pretty strong, so I'm trying to keep to the right amount. That's probably good. Okay. I'm going to mix this up. And set it aside. Just prepared my thickener, which is 2 teaspoons of cornstarch and some water. It's good to prepare all these things ahead of time. Not sure if it's in the frame, but... And then just set it aside. I'm not sure if that's an inch or not. We'll say that's an inch. I'm not sure. But, and then you want to heat this on high. Okay, you can see the wok is smoking. Time to put in the pork. You're going to stir fry this first for about a minute, and then remove it. So I get my plate ready. Now this is kind of scary because sometimes it'll spit. So I'm just going to stand back and gently place the pork in the wok. Move it around and break it up because it does stick together. It's been cooking for about a minute now, so I'm going to get if I can find it, and of course, here we go. I'm going to get a slotted spoon and remove the pork. It's okay if a few pieces aren't completely cooked through, because we're going to cook it again. So. Now you'll have to guesstimate how much 2 tablespoons is. I'm adding some garlic. A handful of green onion. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of the powdered ginger since I don't have any fresh. You would actually want to use fresh, but I don't have any. And then you want to stir fry that for 1 or 2 minutes. That'll infuse your oil with the flavor. Alright, now you want to add your vegetables. And stir fry that. turn my wok back up a little bit. Oops, I just lost a piece of corn. Oh no. I've got my vegetables in the wok cooking. They've been cooking for about 2 or 3 minutes now. You want to cook them until they're crisp tender. And add your pork back in. Stir it up nice. Add your sauce. Give it a quick stir. There's a little bit of sugar stuck at the bottom, so I'm going to put a little bit of the chicken stock in. Give it another swirl and add that in. Okay. And mix it up again. Now what you want to do is, when the liquid gets to boiling, that's when you want to add your thickener in. So, okay, the liquid's bubbling really well now, so I'm going to give the thickener that I prepared earlier, give it a quick stir, and pour it in. And you basically want to let it cook until the sauce thickens. And when that's done, when the sauce thickens, it'll be ready to serve. And my rice is already done, so things looking really good. It smells amazing. Oh my gosh.